All right, we're in step 1 of the 3-step solution to any problem, the fundamentals of making a plan and sticking to it. You're going to get so good at this. Step 1 is start with what you know. So if you're facing a challenge or an obstacle right now, your brain has likely been living in problem-focused thinking. You know this is where you are if you've been thinking things like, I don't know enough, I don't know where to start, if only this hadn't happened, or if only things had gone that way, I can't do what I want without giving something up, right? If you are thinking this way, you're in problem-focused perspective. Now, all these thoughts feel very true when we're in the middle of them. And I'm not here to tell you that they're not true. I just want to show you that they're not useful. So you may think it's very true that it would be easier for you to keep going with your goal if things had gone a different way, or if someone had responded the way you'd hoped for. And you might be right. Often our goals would be easier if everything went the way we wanted them to, if there were no problems. So we're not arguing that, right? But it doesn't serve you to stay in that thinking. I like to think of the brain as a child who has tantrums all the time. So I think of it as your brain is crossing the street with you on the way to your goal. Often when it gets into problem-focused perspective, it just wants to sit down in the middle of the street and stay there. It wants to stay stuck at focusing on the problem. And that doesn't help you get to the other side of the road. So this is why step 1 is always starting with what you know. This is a method to shift your mind from problem-focused thinking to solution-focused thinking, which means you're going to deprioritize what feels true and you're going to reprioritize what's most useful to get you to your goal, to the other side of the street, right? So here's how to do it. Find out what your brain is saying the problem is, right? I don't know enough. I can't afford this. I'm not sure if this is right for me, whatever it is. And then imagine pausing that track and playing something else, almost as if you've been playing kind of sad, bummy music to really help you like be in your emotions. And then when you want to create a different mood, you stop that track and you play like Lizzo or JT, or if you're like me, just like some bouncy yacht rock, and you create a different energy in your mind. That's what we're going to do. We're going to pause the problem thoughts. Switch over to everything that you do know and then start finding more and more of it. You're going to set a time frame around this so you don't have to live in this thinking. It's a very specific exercise you can take yourself through over and over again. So if the problem is, I don't know enough, right? Switch to asking, what do I know for sure? There's valuable information in the answer to that question that your brain is discounting right now. It's not letting you see it, which means it's not letting you use it. If you've been stuck on this problem, I can't afford this. What would you rather believe to be true? Right? I can't afford this might feel really true, but if you're mad about it, what would you rather believe is true? Would you rather be able to afford this thing? Okay. So show yourself how you could possibly afford this thing. Show yourself how it could possibly be true that I can afford this thing. Your brain has an incredibly strong loss aversion built into it. It's like an automatic defense system. And we don't want this getting triggered and then deciding for you what you do, deciding for you what goals you get to accomplish or not, right? I can't afford this, whether you're talking about spending time or spending money or even spending energy on something, is rarely true, but it's certainly never a useful place to land. So what's more useful is to show yourself objectively how you could afford something if you chose to make it happen, right? So what do you know? Start with what you know. I have this much in savings. I have this much in credit. I might be able to apply for another credit card. I have vacation days to cash out. People may be willing to loan me money. Notice how none of this is a lie. You're saying things you know, even if they're only possibilities that you know exist, right? And notice also how none of it is happy talk. You're not trying to kid yourself into believing something that you don't actually believe. You're not trying to kid yourself into believing you can go to the moon tomorrow. But if you have had a lifelong dream of exploring outer space that you've been neglecting, you're going to get a heck of a lot closer to that dream by focusing on what you know is in the realm of possibility rather than focusing on the problems involved, right? So, starting with what you know lets you see how very flexible the truth ends up being. And really, we're just highlighting how the truth isn't ever the most important thing in the grand scheme of goal pursuit, right? When it comes to getting your goals, our brains love getting stuck on what's true because we love feeling right. And not because we're egomaniacs all of the time, but it's because feeling right feels safe. And everything that we're doing here, trying to think bigger, go after bigger goals, create things that have been impossible up until now, going into our brains and starting to switch things around about what we do and don't believe is true and possible, that can feel very unsafe. So reassure yourself as you go through this process that you are being honest. I always think your brain is like an evidence collection machine. It loves analyzing things, both things that you see outside yourself and things that you think in your own head. It analyzes things and then uses them to prove stuff. And since its programming has negativity bias and confirmation bias built in, what it loves to prove is the most negative stuff you already believe is true. That's why our thoughts can default so easily to, I don't know enough, I can't afford it, I'm not ready, right? The most negative stuff you already mostly believe. So I say this to normalize everything that's happening here. Nothing has gone wrong. This is all very normal humaning. It's just humaning by default. Starting with what you know will help you take back control of where your thoughts go. It will help you human on purpose, with intention. You will be able to direct your thoughts to the information that's most useful to get you where you want to go, regardless of whether you feel like it's the most true or not in the moment. It's a way around those biases to not let them decide for you what to do, right? So that's where we go in step 2, deciding and taking action. But I really want you to try this step out anytime you feel stuck or limited or behind. Spend 10 minutes starting with what you know. Just spend 10 minutes in this step, directing your thoughts. Ask yourself, how is what I want possible? What do I already know? How am I already bought in to the thing that I want to be true? What's currently working? The solution-focused mindset is going to help open up so much more possibility than you could see before. And you're going to generate a bunch of positive emotion because you're going to stop cycling in limitation and lack. And that positive emotion is going to fuel you forward in a way that feels good and not hustly and scrambly or unsafe. So when you are ready to take this from this kind of big, grand idea and apply it to your specific life and your goals and your challenges, book your free consult. We'll talk about your coaching program and how we use this in real life to accomplish real results. And in the meantime, dive into step 2, which is all about making decisions.